The live slides contain the combination of both part one and part two, because the slides are actually a cheat sheet. They're a manual for you to, when you can print it, you can go play with ChatGPT, and every single screen in ChatGPT is explained in that manual. We're going to be doing mostly a live presentation, not a slide-based presentation, but the slides are an enormous part of the learning experience. So I wanted to kind of point that out. So about myself really quick, I'm Hector Garcia. I'm a CPA. I've been practicing with a bookkeeping tax practice since 2009. And now I'm the host of an annual conference called Reframe 2024. Write down my email if there was anything that wasn't covered, that wasn't cleared on ChatGPT or anything that I've been discussing on these webinars. Just send me an email. I'll do my best to try to find you a resource. So there's my email, hector@garciacpa.com. I'm going to quickly plug my conference. So Hollywood, Florida, October 16th to 19th, we're going to do a pre-conference on AI ChatGPT for accountants. And then we're going to spend 2.5 days talking about communication skills for accountants. The theme of the conference is influential conversation for accountants. It's for CPAs, bookkeepers, tax professionals that want to up their game on learning how to communicate with their clients better, communicate with their employees better, communicate with their app partner companies better. And then there are early bird coupons in the slides that you can use depending on when you sign up. We're over halfway up past the halfway mark of total attendees, and we sold out last year. We probably will sell out this year as well. So that's my plug, reframe2024.com. On to the content. So we're going to talk about ChatGPT free edition versus the paid editions. On the basic version, on part one of this webinar series, we did 100% of the work in the free edition. Now we're going to be doing 100% of the work in the paid editions because we're going to deal with more advanced concepts. So in this advanced one, some stuff could be translated and could be used in the free edition, but most of the things you're not going to see available until you have the paid edition, the plus, the team, or the enterprise. So we quickly break down the difference between them. And then for firms, how firms collaborate. So what are the team-related features with ChatGPT? Then we're going to talk about outside of the web version, we're going to talk about the mobile version. So you're going to be using ChatGPT on your phone in combination with maybe using ChatGPT with the web as well. And now there's a desktop app for the Mac. So you can see how the desktop app can interact with your computer a little bit. Then we're going to talk about image creation. This is a really advanced edition, how to edit images from the image creation inside ChatGPT. Super cool. And then we're going to talk about more of the sort of like the real practical, okay, what are the type of things that we're going to be using in accounting practices specifically, because that's the context that I come from. That's the only business I ever know how to run. So the way we're using ChatGPT in our firm, I'm going to walk you through some of the tips on that. And that's going to be talking a little bit about what's called the memory feature and the custom instructions, which creates context. And the context is the really important part. Prompts are really important. We're going to discuss this concept of the perfect prompt, a concept I came up with. I alliterated and used PROMPT to kind of like give you a guiding principle on how these work. But the perfect prompt will contain these 6 elements to try to get you the most effective answer. Then we're going to jump into custom GPTs and how we create our own contextual chatbot. We will at least do one. I have 3 examples up my sleeve. This is a very ambitious webinar in terms of content. It might be a 3-hour webinar, try to squeeze it into a 1-hour webinar. So it is meant for me to give you as much information as possible, not so you can follow along step by step, but more so you can go back, watch the recording, and then fast forward to the plays of the stuff that interested you the most. So you're going to see me just going really fast, covering a lot of content, not really meant as a basic step-by-step webinar. It is advanced. So again, the link to the part 1 is going to be in the live slides, and we cover all the basic stuff in that part 1. Okay, let's jump right to it. Free versus pro versus team. So there's a chart in there that kind of shows you the difference across the editions. Essentially, there's a free edition of ChatGPT is highly throttled. That's what access limits is. You probably get to chat with it 10 back and forth discussions, and then it'll stop and make you wait an hour until you can go back. With the plus team editions, you get 5 times the capacity. They don't specify specifically what the access limits is. They don't give you like an actual physical number saying, oh, at most this many characters, or at most this many conversations, because that's sort of a moving target. But essentially, the way they frame it is, if you're in the Plus or the Team editions, you get 5 times more the capacity with the free edition. Then you get access to the desktop app only on the paid edition. You get the ability to interact with Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive files. You only get that in the paid editions. You get to do image editing. You only get to do that in the paid editions. And then when we talk about making custom GPTs for your team and the memory feature, it's only available in the paid editions. And then once we move over to the world where we don't want any of the work that we're doing here to train the model, so we want 100% privacy, you got to be in the team and enterprise editions for that. And then you can have custom workspaces where you can have chats that are only available inside the firm with those firm members, and that's only going to be available in the team and enterprise editions. So right now, as it stands, the Plus edition is $20 a month, and the Team edition is $25 a month. But you need to pay for at least 2. So $50 a month is going to be the minimum investment you have to make for a team version of ChatGPT. If you have more than 2 people in a firm using it in a business setting, that's what I recommend. That's what we have at the moment in my organization. We have the Team edition, and the key element here is they do not train your data. If you actually go and look at the privacy statement, they on the enterprise editions and the team editions, it says we do not train on your business data or conversations for our models to learn. So they use the free editions for the most part, and in some cases the Plus edition. The Plus user has the ability to either enable or disable privacy to actually train the model. So that's the biggest concern that people have is, hey, is my data secure? Like if I want to start putting some client information, is that information secure? Now, when you're in the team edition and you go into the team settings, you're going to have an area where you can invite team members. Again, every team member you invite is going to be $25 a month. And then when you create custom GPTs, which we're going to cover on the back half of this webinar, you can actually control who can access any of the custom GPTs. So once you create custom GPTs just for your firm, you can pick and choose which GPT is public access, is private access, that sort of thing, or which individual team members have access to that specific GPT. Okay. Then we also it's important to discuss that there is a mobile app, so something that works on your phone 100%, and also a desktop app. I'm going to start with the mobile app. Okay. There we go. It's a beautiful thing. Gotta love live recordings. So what you're seeing here is basically me manipulating my phone. And just kind of what I want to show you is everything you do on your phone, you can also do on the app. But what's particularly interesting about the phone is the voice interaction. So I'm gonna press this button right here that looks like a little headphones. I'm gonna press that button there, and my microphone's gonna start hearing what I'm saying. Okay, as you can see there, my microphone essentially is hearing what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm gonna stop that, and let me just stop that for a second. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so I'm gonna press it one more time, and I'm actually gonna ask it a question. So I'm gonna say, hey, ChatGPT, my client just texted me asking me on whether or not they should buy or lease their vehicle. I'm an accountant, they're a small business owner. I want to give them a quick text answer. What could be the most precise answer I can give them that will fully disclose all the moving parts?
Here's a concise text you can send to your client. Deciding to buy or lease depends on several factors. 1, buying usually has higher upfront costs, but can be more cost-effective in the long run if you keep the vehicle for many years. 2, leasing often has lower monthly payments and less maintenance hassle, but you never own the vehicle and may face mileage restrictions. 3, consider your cash flow.
Okay, so were you able to hear that? I just want to make sure that you were able to hear that. But that's just kind of the concept. So I spoke to the app. It's just used regular voice recognition, and it turned that into text. And then it gave me the text answer. So you're specifically seeing the text answer that it's given me, but it immediately responded in a voice. So it's just assuming that that's how you want to interact with it. You don't always need to interact with it like that, but that's something that that could certainly happen. The other things that you could do is you can like take a picture of something from your phone and interact with the picture. So I'm going to start a new chat over here and then ask you to take a picture. And then I can take a picture of maybe something here on my screen. Okay. And there's an IRS notice. Okay. So I basically can say, what? So I can say what? Actually, so I can go with voice or I could just type. I'm just going to type, what should I do? Okay. So I'm basically just asking what you took a picture of an IRS notice and said, what should I do? Right, pretty simple. This all happened from the app. So I kind of want you to think of a world where, we are in fact interacting with the AI just from our phone. Like we're not literally sitting down and scanning documents and working. Like we're actually working just like on the go type of stuff. And everything is here, very clear. Everything explained on the phone. And there's no new functionality per se. The only thing that's unique to the phone is that voice interaction that happens immediately, and the fact that you can take a picture or interact with a picture in your phone. But in either case, you can do that on your web application as well. So let me go back and open my browser here. So I'm going to refresh ChatGPT. I have the web version of ChatGPT now. And what I want to show you is these are my live conversations here. These are the conversations I had either while I was working on the web version or the conversation that I was working on the phone version. So what's really neat is whatever you work on the web version, it's going to show up on the phone version. Whatever you work on the phone version shows up on the web version. You can use both at the same time. So I find that to be a very useful thing, right? Because sometimes we want to pick up over a conversation we had on the phone app, and we don't necessarily want to finish the work on the phone. Okay, so that's the concept of the mobile app. Now, just go really quick through the slides here, make sure I don't miss anything. The next thing I want to discuss is the desktop app. So only on the Mac version, there is a desktop app. They're going to release a PC version pretty soon. And all you have to do is click on the top right on the settings and go to where it says download Mac OS app. And what's really cool is once you have the app on your computer, you can hit Option Space and you can immediately start interacting with your ChatGPT. So I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to close this for a second. So you should just be looking at my desktop. Okay, so I'm doing nothing. I'm just sitting there on my desktop. I hit Option Space and you see a little search box opens up. That's my ChatGPT. There's almost no friction to get the ChatGPT Option Space. And then I can start, typing whatever I want. So I can say, explain section 179 like I am a 5-year-old. Okay, and you can press enter. It will launch the app right here immediately, and then it will start the ChatGPT the same way you're used to using it on the web, but it's now a little window. Okay, a little window. So it's sort of like almost like native on the computer. You can zoom out and zoom in with control or command plus and command minus. There's my answer here. In grown-up terms, 179 is a rule that lets businesses say, look at our new equipment or stuff we bought with the business. You can save money, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a desktop app. But is that exciting? Well, I'm going to tell you where this stuff becomes really exciting. So I'm going to open up here. Let's say I have QuickBooks open, for example. So I think this could be something that could be really interesting. So imagine I'm sitting and I have QuickBooks open, and then I have the ChatGPT desktop app. So again, instead of on the web version, I'm just natively working on my computer. Okay. So I have a blank chat open here on the right-hand side. I got something going on in the background. Let's say I have QuickBooks open. Again, whether you use QuickBooks or not, it doesn't really matter. Just kind of illustrating how this stuff is going to evolve so quickly, and it's just going to blow your mind in terms of the kind of stuff that it could do. So I'm going to click on the little attachment icon there, and then I'm going to click on take screenshot, and I'm just going to say take a screenshot of my QuickBooks screen. So I'll just click on that, and it took a quick shot of the screen, and then I could put here what do I do now? Okay, and it'll literally take this screenshot and try to figure out what is it that you're doing. And I'll start answering right here. So it says, it looks like you're in the process of reconciling your bank account. Here's a general guidance on how to proceed. Look at that. How cool is that? And this stuff might be even more useful than the built-in help that QuickBooks, or just to think of any app, anything that you're working on productivity-wise, where you're on the screen and you're not sure what it is, you can have the AI try to figure out what you're supposed to do. So it's telling you right here, from this screenshot, it seems like you have a small difference of 1180.29. This is what you should do step by step. Check on match transactions, look for bank feeds, investigate sources different. And I can even have it attempt for it to do some math. Now, this is not always going to work really well. ChatGPT is still kind of dumb in the math department, but I can say, I know I am missing 3 transactions. Which of the uncleared ones add up to the missing amount? Okay. So again, I typed, after I put a picture of my reconcile screen, I said, I know I'm missing 3 transactions. Which of the unclear ones adds up to the missing amount? And I press enter, and it'll attempt to the math. Now, I haven't tested with this particular screen. Sometimes it can figure it out. Sometimes it can't. Sometimes it'll just be lazy and say, this is what you should do on your own. Try doing this. But it's actually going through and going through the transactions and doing the math for you. So it says here that, so it's doing the math. So it's actually trying all the different combinations to try to figure out which one gets you to the answer. Okay. And it's possible that it may run to the conclusion where it says no visible unclear transactions get you to the dollar amount. I personally think it's wrong because I have reconciled this account in the past, but it's going to get closer and closer to this. I'm going to have it try again. Let me filter and only show the uncleared ones. It's going to make it a little bit easier. And then I'll just go back into ChatGPT, take a new screenshot, and then do this. Have it try again. Try again with these figures and press enter. And again, remember the general narrative is AI is going to take over our jobs, et cetera, et cetera. That narrative is not close to reality at the moment, but you can tell that the trend is going in that direction. So like, could AI eventually automatically reconcile our books or whatever? I don't see it fully far-fetched. It's not happening at the moment. It still kind of struggles, as you can see. I'm having it try again. Now it's thinking, maybe it's stuck at this point. By this time, I spent 15 minutes already, playing with it. I probably could have figured out what were the missing 3 transactions. So we are not right now, we're not at the moment where, we could outsource all of our work to the AI, but you can at least see that the AI can start doing simple thinking process similar to what a human can. And it's going through the iterations and trying to see, look at which combination of transactions might get me there. So it's doing all the math for me. Okay. So it's running scripts and doing all these things. And there will be a point, like I said, maybe not immediately, but there will be a point where the computer system will be so powerful and so quick where all these calculations happen in the background. It runs the code and then it turns around and says, okay, these are the 3 transactions that you should try. So I found here, it says these combination of transactions get me there. I'm not sure if it does. Let's just try it. Let's see. So 232, 1866. We have 217, 485, and 227. There you go. It solved it for me. So I figured out which combination of transactions get me to a 0 difference. How cool is that? Okay. Actually, I was kind of afraid that it wouldn't do it. But that's good. I'm just very glad that it did it because it just kind of resembles, how this stuff is going to be used in the future. Okay. So I put all these screenshots of me testing this as well. Other things I want you to think about is, for example, I have a client that says, thank you, whatever. We're looking at a platform migration to deal with issues exactly that you have described. Lots of exciting updates or whatever. I'll keep you in the loop. And then I answer something like, that answer is unacceptable and I'm very disappointed. But before I hit send, I take a screenshot of the email, right? So that it reads the email from like whatever answer I get from whoever sent me this email. and then my answer, and then it turns around and says, you know what? Let me give you a better answer. Okay, it looks like you're considering whatever, blah blah blah, and it just turns a negative answer, right? From that answer is unacceptable. I'm disappointed to something more formal. So that's kind of an example I put there on the slides so you can see them. Okay, let's move on to what I find to be the most interesting piece of sort of the advanced features of ChatGPT, which is data analytics. So I want you to think of maybe in your accounting software, you have a bunch of transactions. So in this case, this is QuickBooks, and I have a bunch of sales data. So a bunch of invoices, a bunch of sales data. Let me refresh one more time. And then I exported this into a spreadsheet. Okay. The spreadsheet could have been a CSV file. It could be an Excel file, or as you can see here, this is on Google Sheets. Okay. So once the data comes out of your GL or your transaction information from Stripe or Amazon or whatever, so whatever your source of data it is, you export that into a spreadsheet. Then you go into ChatGPT and you got a couple of options here. So one, I can click on this little attachment button, and then I can upload from my computer, and then I can grab the physical CSV file and just work that one. Or I can say, all right, let's go onto my Google Drive, because I connected my Google Drive. So go into my Google Drive and then go find the specific file that I want to work with. So mine's called sample something. So I'm going to pull up the file, and it pulls the data from your Google Drive, throws it into ChatGPT. So no need for you to export it into your computer and then upload it. And then once you upload it, it goes into analysis mode. So this is the analysis mode is every time that it notices that you have like raw data, like a spreadsheet type data. And there's all sorts of really cool things we can do with analysis mode. So you're going to see three little icons here. Okay, one says open in Google Sheets. That's just, you sending you back to the Google Sheets. Here's download the table. So it actually can take the stuff that's in Google Sheets and bring it back into a CSV file. And then there's expand table, which essentially puts you in the analysis portal. Let's call it that. Okay. So now that we have the analysis portal here, I can say amount, and I can start giving it instructions. So I can say, these are my total sales per line. Okay. So I'm going to give it some instructions. So these are my total sales per line. And then I'm basically feeding in some context. So here's the raw data. Here's total sales per down. And notice that it says memory updated. We'll go back into memory in a second. So basically in the permanent memory of ChatGPT, it knows that the column called amount is the total sales per line. So if I ever say, what's the total sales per line? It knows to look at this amount and, for example, not look at quantity or look at rate or look at some other number. Okay, that sort of thing. Okay, so let's now look at our customers. Let's say this here name. So I'm going to put these are my customers. Okay, and again, I'm creating the context. So name is my customers, amount is the total amount per line, and then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to say, and this is the service performed. Okay, so I got service performed, I got customer name, and I got total amount per line. I gave it the context, and now I can say, give me a chart of total sales by customer by service performed. Okay, let's see what it does. Remember, all this stuff is sort of happening live. I do testing before I do this, more or less, but essentially what I want to give you for the most part is give you the live reaction to how ChatGPT reacts to these things. So I'm going to give it the instructions. Give me a chart of total sales by customer performed. It's going to run through the data. It's going to clean out, only grab the columns that it needs, and then it's going to start building charts for me, which is super cool. Okay, so we'll give it a minute. And there's my chart. And then I could maybe go back to the data and see that one particular item is just kind of way off. And I just to go back for a second. So go back for a second in the raw data. I have one particular item that's way off, and I'm going to show you really quick. So I got one item here called FP billing, which is actually way off because it runs through my balance sheet. So I can actually tell it, ignore all the FP billing. So I can even go one steps and have it, I can give it instructions on how to remove certain things from the data. So let me go into ChatGPT and say, ignore all FP billings. Okay, I'm gonna put ignore all FP billings, send them the instructions, and then I'll cut that service or product out of the analysis and then redo the chart with a new analysis. So I'll maximize this so we can see how it works. And if you want to, there you go. And then basically it shows you the graph here. Okay. So I want to say remove the customers from the chart and do services in a pie graph. Okay. And again, I know you probably know how to do this in Excel. Like you know how to press the buttons and do the charts and tell it what's the source and what's the y-axis and what's the x-axis. I know you know how to do this, or I know you know how to find out how to do this. What I'm trying to show you is that there will be a moment where we no longer do this in a way where we're typing stuff, like we're going to be talking to it, okay? And you can even ask it to read it out loud. So I can click here, read out loud, and it can read out loud. Actually, I'm going to change my audio for a second so you can see. So we're going to make it's going to be pretty loud here. So you can have it talk to you.
Here is the pie chart showing the total sales by service performed, excluding FP billings. Each slice represents a different service, with the size of the slice indicating the proportion of total sales for that.
Okay, so now you're seeing I'm typing to it, I'm talking to it, I'm asking it to talk back to me. That's it. So let's say, for example, I want to grab maybe two of these. So I want to say demo and excavation versus everything else. So I'm going to say demo and excavation versus everything else. Again, I'm grabbing two of the items and say just compare these two combined versus everything else, and it'll know how to group the data in whatever logical fashion you want to group it by. This stuff, I mean, it's getting so good that it's kind of scary. Okay, so there's my comparison. Let's say just do the top 10 and in a bar graph. Okay, so there's top 10 in a bar graph. There's my top 10 in a bar graph. And I can say, let's stack them by customer. So now I'm telling it to, okay, I got my top 10 bar graph, then stack each of the lines cross-section with my customer data. So let's see what that looks like. The silence means I'm waiting. So there's my stacking, right? So there's my customers. There's Heather Campbell, there's Hamby Shane, and there's Wessinger Gary and Wilson Brandon, all color coded. And then you can see each of them there. Now up here in the top right, there's switch to static chart. If I click on that, then everything's labeled and it looks more like a traditional Excel type of chart, all stacked. But then if you go to interactive, then essentially you just hover over it to see the amounts. So it's you kind of have those two modes. So this is more of the Excel stuff that we're used to. You can also, in the settings, you can choose what to color code. So I'm going to make Heather yellow and make Shane blue and make Gary green and Wilson aqua. Okay. And then I do that, and then it just rechanges the colors for me. Super, super interesting. And you can click on download chart, and then it downloads and this gray part is because it's the background is transparent. So I can throw that chart anywhere with a transparent background. Super cool. You can, add all sorts of things to that. Okay. So let's say, okay, clear the chart. I'm going to say clear the chart. I don't want to see a chart anymore. And then I'm going to ask it to do much more analysis. So I can say, who are my top customers, and or something like that. I don't know what it did just now. I guess it just went back to the last change. So I'm going to say, who are my top 3 customers and what service did they buy from me? Okay, so I asked, who are my top 3 customers? What service did they buy from me? Again, just in case you're kind of tuning in late here, we're crunching all this data here. Okay, there's customer information, there's product and service information, there's dollar amounts. Okay, we threw that into ChatGPT. We have it do all these things for me. So here's my top 3 customers. We got Heather Campbell, and here's the services that they bought from us, all broken down for me. Can you have your QuickBooks do this in reports? Can you have this? Can you break this out in Excel? Yes, you can. But I'm giving it instructions, the way you would give an intern instructions, the way you would give somebody else working on your team instructions. So ChatGPT now becomes your new intern. It could become your new intern. So another interesting thing. Okay. So again, just wanted to give you a general idea of like the power of the data analysis. I think is super powerful and super impressive. Okay. Let's start a new chat and let's do image creation. So let's have it create an image. So I'm going to put create an image of an accountant up in the mountains working remotely. Okay, so create an image of an accountant up in the mountains working remotely. I didn't give it a whole lot of specifics other than that. It will create an image. It might be cartoonish. It might be photorealistic. We haven't actually told it how we want the image, so it's just gonna choose a style. But then you can specify the style that you want, okay? And then I can edit this image, so I can click on the image and I can go to image editing mode, which is very cool. And I can put, I can select area, and I can put here, I can put here no snow, make it greener. Okay, and it literally just select an area in the image saying, hey, don't give me white, give me more of that. And then basically it'll regenerate the image and only edit that portion from the image. Now, as accounting professionals, most of the time we don't care too much about like image creation. Like, do we really care about this stuff that much? I mean, I don't know, but but it's interesting nonetheless. So I give you a general idea. Again, you just press select here, select the area you want to change. So I'm gonna put here, let's do female. Let's do this, female instead, and then hit send. Let's see if it does that. Okay, there you go. So I put a female. Okay, pretty cool, pretty neat. Technically, kind of sort of mind-blowing. So we did data analysis, we did image creation and editing. Again, there's literally screenshots on every single screen that we've done. Kind of walks you through it if you want to have kind of a step-by-step instruction. Let's talk about custom instructions and memory as a way to set up context, and that's going to seep into custom GPTs, which is really the most exciting part from here. So I'm gonna create a new chat, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna click on the top right here where you create your settings. I'm gonna click on Customize GPT, and I'm gonna make sure that my custom instructions are off. I'm just having them off because I want to show you, and then I'm gonna go back in here and click on Settings, and then I'm gonna go into my memory section, and then I'm gonna turn that off. Okay, so I got memory off, and I have custom instructions off. And then I'm gonna put here, explain ordinary and reasonable from the IRS. So I'm just saying, explain ordinary and reasonable from the IRS, press enter, and it's going to give me an explanation, okay? Now, because there's no context, because there's no custom instructions, because there's no memory, this is the most generic answer you're going to get. So like ChatGPT, like if you go into your free ChatGPT and ask it this question, explain ordinary and reasonable, try it, you're gonna get specifically this answer, okay? Now, I can add some additional context. Okay, so I'm going to add a couple of contexts here. So I'm going to go into customize ChatGPT, and then I'm going to say, I am a CPA student trying to pass the darn CPA exam for the 5th time now. I need to learn all the content for the exam. And then I could say, respond with examples and sample questions with multiple choice for me to practice a typical CPA exam. So I'm creating, this is my me customizing it and telling how I want ChatGPT to interact with me. And then here at the bottom, I can say, I want to enable browsing. I want to enable image creation. I want to enable code interpreter. For now, I'm going to turn off code interpreter and DALL-E. So code interpreter is the data analysis, and the DALL-E is the image creation. But I do want it to browse the web if the information, the information that it has from its memory is not there. So I'm going to click on save, and I created custom instructions. So now, when I go here, and actually let me go back to the last chat here. I'm gonna write the exact same prompt, 100%, the exact same prompt, and put in a new chat. And now this chat has the custom instructions. Sorry, not that one. So this chat has the custom instructions because when I click on customize ChatGPT, it's in there and it's enabled. Okay. So once it's enabled, when I ask this question and press send, and this happens every single time I ask the question, now it's going to give me an answer, but it's going to answer it differently because this time around, it gave me examples. This time around, it gave me examples. This time around, it said, here's a practical application. Here's the expense. Here's the analysis. Here's a sample CPA exam question. So every single time I go to ChatGPT and ask any question, so I start a new one and say, what is section 179? Instead of just giving me the generic answer for the typical end user, it's going to always read the custom instructions and answer the way you said you wanted it. You want the answer, you want the example, and you want the practical question. So that's a really cool, just kind of example of like how you want ChatGPT to behave every single time. And again, whenever you want to add some specific information, so I can say section 179 will disappear from the tax code on 2024. Remember that. Okay, so if I say something and then I say remember that, but the memory is off at the moment, right? So that's kind of the concept here. So let me go back here and turn memory back on. So what memory does is now what you do is you're gonna trick out ChatGPT, and you're gonna give it information that you want it to override its own knowledge. So I'm gonna say section 179 will disappear from the tax code. Remember that. Okay, so here's some updated information. Okay. And then when I create a new chat in the future, and then I ask something, it says, look, it's no longer available after 2023, which is not true, by the way. Section 179 is not going away. But at any point in time, I start a new chat and say, when is section 179 going away? And I'm going to press enter. So the truth is, it's never going to go away. But now it says that it will be eliminated from the tax code starting 2024. Why that happened? Because I told it to use memory. Okay, and that's what memory does. And if I create a new chat, I can do what's called a temporary chat over here, which is pretty neat. So if I do a temporary chat, it won't use the memory. All right, so I can basically go into incognito from my own internal memory. So this stuff is just becoming so customizable. And again, you gotta be on the paid versions for this. Okay, really quick. So let's go through the slides here, and we have a slide called here the perfect prompt, PROMPT. And essentially, P stands for persona, R for response, O for objectives, M for method, P for parameters, T for template. And essentially what we're trying to do is, with this alliteration, is to give you a quick cheat sheet, a reminder of how to put together the perfect prompt to give you the perfect answer, so to speak. So we're gonna go and I'm gonna open up ChatGPT here on the right-hand side, and I'll just keep this little cheat sheet here on the left so I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna start here with persona. So this is who ChatGPT is impersonating. So I'm gonna say you are going to act as a CPA/tax attorney and a presenter. So I gave it the persona. That's who they are. Okay. Second is response. Okay. So when you are ready to respond, you are going to give me a formal opinion letter with a summary of facts and circumstances, quoting the law or IRC code, and explain the exceptions to the rules. Okay, something like that. Okay, so that was response. That was the format in which I want the response to be. Next is going to be objectives. Okay, so the purpose is to give specific tax advice to a small business owner regarding purchasing a boat for the business, wanting to get a tax deduction. So I'm giving it kind of like the purpose. Say, don't answer yet. I will give you more parameters. Okay, because at that point it would start literally giving answers. So okay, so one more parameters. The next one is method. Okay, so method, look up the code and laws, maybe some articles from official or reputable sources. Okay, and then list them with the facts of their details, and use that as part of your analysis. So I'm basically saying, go online and check stuff. Okay. Okay. So there's the next one. Okay. So now it started. So I'm just gonna hit stop here for a second. That's the thing. It's very, very giddy to like give you an answer. Okay. So now more thing, parameters. This provides necessary background information or context. Okay. Okay. Here is some context. The business owner has a marketing firm of 700K in revenue. 2024 is projecting to be a lot of profit, and they just want a boat. Personally, however, looking for the legal ways to get a larger deduction, leveraging the boat purchase. Okay, so this portion of it, again, this portion of it was the parameters. So again, we're going through this here: persona, response, objective, method, parameters. Template is if you want to give them an example. Maybe if you have another letter that you're ever giving to a client, you could paste the template in there. But that should be enough. And then we press send. And now that we've given it enough parameters, now this is a perfect prompt. Now, you can make this whole thing into a single prompt if you wanted to. Notice I did kind of a step-by-step. I could also go back and tell it, like if I were to start this over, if I wanted to get this specific result in a single prompt, what would that look like? And that's kind of the beauty of it, is when you use all these things: persona, response, objective, method, parameters, and template if you have an example. Then you can go back and tell it, what would a perfect prompt look like? So here's what he gave me. Here's an opinion letter. Here's some facts and circumstances of the case, right? So it's reiterating the facts and circumstances. It's going back and applying the law. Okay, here's listed rules, property rules, and here's some other quoting on the rules. Here's depreciation. Here's the entertainment facility restrictions. Here's the exceptions to the general rules, and here are the recommendations at the end and a conclusion. Okay, very good. So then I could say, next time I want to arrive to this with a single prompt. Okay. And then it's actually going to go back and tell you, okay, this is what the prompt should look like. Which is one of the really awesome things I love about ChatGPT is when you use this process, the prompt process, PROMPT, and you actually get the result, and then you say, I want to get this in a single prompt. It gives you here the actual prompt. It gives you the actual prompt. So now you have a prompt template, so to speak. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to start a brand new chat. And I'm going to start with this prompt, right? So I follow the process of the way it's asking me to prompt, press enter, and now we're going to get very, very similar results right away. So I didn't have to like chat back and forth and kind of arrive to it. I went straight to the answer. So if you save these little templates here and you just change the facts and circumstances, that could work for you. You can also build a custom GPT, which we're going to cover pretty soon, where you actually give it all these parameters. Maybe you leave out these things, right? You leave out the type of company and the profits and the fact that they want to buy a personal boat. You leave that stuff out, but then you leave these things here, like the actual output, the expectation of what the answers you want them to be. So that's pretty neat as well. And if you actually go into the slides, I put a link in the slides. If you go to that link, it actually goes to a custom GPT, and I'll show you how to build a custom GPT soon. But this is a custom GPT called the prompt generator that I built that uses the same parameters that I use on the slides to walk you through building a prompt. So like, this is very meta, right? So I first explained to you how to build a prompt. Then we actually fed all this information into a custom GPT, which again, I'll show you how to create one very, very soon. But you can use this to then help you build a prompt. So you can click on, I need help to build a prompt. And then it says here, okay, it walks you through it. It says, okay, this is what you should be doing to build the prompt. And I fed this custom GPT this information. This is not like standard. This is like my own system, my own workflow that I use. So then at this point, I could put, okay, so I can start 1, tax attorney. And then I can do 2, formal opinion letter. 3, give tax advice to a small business owner. Objective, so we'll do to inform them of the laws and applicable exceptions. Okay, and then 4, method. So we can say, sorry, that was 3, 4. Let's see, a formal opinion letter, objectives to give up. 4 would be method. Okay, and then 5, parameters. So we'll put in this case, this will be the context. So I'm gonna put here is a marketing business wanting to entertain clients to write off the boat, but I know they want to use it personally the most. And then the last one would be the template. So I can put here, I can actually go back and maybe pull up the other chat that we have here. So where's my other chat here? And I can have this as a template. I already built a template, right? So I can just copy what one looks like before. So I have the results of what I want this to look like. Okay, and then I put template, and I'm gonna paste the template of something I've done this before, and then I click on send, and then the thing will actually build the prompt for me. So it's very, very cool. So it says, so this custom GPT is here, is meant to help you build a prompt. Okay. So here's the prompt essentially. Okay. And then you can actually copy this prompt. You can come in here and say, you can just copy this exactly like this. Okay. Let's say, for example, I'll skip the template for now because it just makes it very long. And then you start a brand new chat, and then you can copy and paste that, a perfect prompt per se, press enter, and then you will get the results that you want, very specific results that you want. So I'm just showing you multiple ways that you can use this concept of prompt, PROMPT, okay? Persona, response, objectives, method, parameters, and template. And also you have a custom GPT that I use, so you can use that as context to help you build the perfect prompts. The better the prompt, the better the answer, period. So let's talk about building an actual custom GPT now. Okay, so last thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna talk about custom GPTs. This is the big thing. This is the most important thing that changes the entire interaction of ChatGPT. So you see here on the left-hand side, you see an option that says Explore GPTs. And then here on the right, I'm going to click on Create. So the examples that we have, and I'm going to just go into the slides here really quick. The examples that we have, and I walk you through the entire screen, right? So every single button you can press, I walk you through the whole thing. But the examples that we have from the table of contents here that I wanted to cover were potentially 3, but we're probably going to be able to just do 1. That's how it goes with ChatGPT courses. We're going to do a pricing bot. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an example of how we're going to get ChatGPT to maybe help us price our services to our clients. So try to build this on your own. And then when I'm done building this, I'm going to make this public and I'm going to share it in the chat. So then if you click on that, you can actually work with the same exact pricing bot. So I'm going to put here. So in the top left, I'm actually going to tell it stuff. So I'm going to say, you are a firm pricing bot. Okay. And then I'm going to give it instructions, right? The bottom left here. I'm going to say, your job is to help the accounting firm employees. So accounting firm employees come up with a price for a new client based on specific parameters I will give you. Okay, so we'll start with that. So then ChatGPT starts kind of like contextualizing what it is. It starts saving the GPT. It gives the GPT a name. It tries to come up with an icon. It just basically, this is the starting point. You tell it, this is what I want the custom GPT to do. And again, to add some context, once I'm finishing doing the custom GPT, I no longer have to worry about memory or custom instructions, because essentially every custom GPT has its own memory and custom instructions. So this is to build something on its own. So I'm going to say, perfect, great name, basically the same name I suggested. Okay, so this is botsplaining for me. It's basically taking credit for my name. So yeah, so perfect. So now it's going to generate a random image and put it there as an icon. You don't have to go with the image, but the image makes it look pretty neat. So it's going to add it here on the preview, so it shows up in there. Okay, so I'm going to say yes, perfect, yes, perfect. Now let me give you parameters. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you some parameters. So I'm going to start now typing my pricing philosophy. So I can say something like, my firm does 700K in annual revenue, and we have about 50 clients, varying from $700 a month to, let's say, $9,000 a month for services. Okay. So again, we're going to give it some context, and then I could say something like, moving forward, all clients must be at a minimum of $1,000. So we're just kind of simplifying it here and saying, yeah, all clients must be at a minimum of $1,000. So now we're giving it some context, okay? And you don't have to give it all the context. You choose what context you give it, then you go try it, and then based on the context, you might get better answers or not. So let's write here how we want the answers. We want the pricing needs to be in 3 versions or tiers that resemble good, better, best. And I can say, and I want you to custom name them based on the customer's industry and name. Okay. So again, we start now giving it some philosophy in terms of how we want the answers. Then I'm going to tell it like kind of the scope of work on my smallest client and the scope of work on my highest client, and then tell it the things our firm considers to be like sort of a premium versus not a premium. That way it helps me put the pricing together. So so then I'm going to start telling it, say, my smallest client at $700 a month has 3 bank accounts, 2 credit cards, 1 line of credit, does not track sales tax, payroll, or project costing. They are a restaurant, and we do not need to reconcile the POS with the restaurant. I don't know what I spelled wrong there. POS with the QuickBooks file. The client does their own sales tax. Okay, so I basically told it who's my smallest client. It gives me a general idea where we are. So my largest client has Shopify and Amazon, 5 million in sales, multi-state sales tax, and we do monthly advisory for them. Okay. So even if you misspell stuff, which I'm very famous for doing, misspelling all the time, ChatGPT is very forgiving for that. So it's giving me I'm feeding it the context so that this pricing bot understands kind of like the range that we're in. Okay. We place a premium on these things. Okay. We say 1, more than 5 bank accounts and credit cards combined. 2, same day or next day response time. The average is 2 days. 3 would be PayPal accounts or reconciling third-party revenue apps like POS, Shopify, right, etc. Okay. We also placed a premium on, let's say, if the client needs us, to break down revenue by department. Okay. Okay. So again, I'm almost done here. I'm giving it all the context, and now I'm kind of ready to publish the price bot. Okay. I probably want to give it another maybe 10, 15 minutes worth of content because you want to keep training it with your data. You can upload your client list, and then you can say, hey, this client kind of looks like client A or client B, and you can use that as context. Okay. But this is enough. This is enough. So I'm going to click on create on the top right. So it creates the chatbot. Okay. Again, based on the version of ChatGPT that I have, I can share it only within my organization, or I can make it invite only, or I can make it public, or I can make it public where it's even searchable in the GPT store. So I'm going to share with anyone with a link. So I'm actually going to go in and paste the link for this. I'm going to paste it in the live chat. So So I'm going to go to copy link, paste that in the live chat. And then we are going to go into view GPT so we can know exactly what the GPT looks like. And what I'll do is in the slides as well, on the live slides, I am going to add a new slide here and put pricing bot example. Okay, so in case you are using the live chat, you can use that. So you can click on that and you can, that means every single person watching this can try this. So I say, I have a new client, help me price them. Okay, and then the ChatGPT, the price bot is actually going to walk you through the process. So tell me the industry, tell me the size, tell me all this stuff. So I'm going to say restaurant, 1 million in sales, bookkeeping only 7 bank accounts, no PayPal. Okay, no PayPal. I can say 2-day response time, no revenue by department. Okay, and then I gave it all the context, and now it's going to grab this and summarize it for me, and then give me 3 options. So it says, look, the good is called basic bistro bookkeeping, $1,200 a month, and then we have gourmet grill bookkeeping, enhanced services with focus on more detailed financial reports, 2-day handling of up to 7 bank accounts, fine dining, financials, comprehensive bookkeeping with additional advisory services, and here's some premium factors and service customization. So you can work with it even more and more and more. So I made the link public so you can play with it and say, hey, what about this? What about that? And then it'll keep refining the options for you. But this gives you a really nice starting point. It gave me the names. It did it based on the industry of the business, and it took into consideration some of the stuff that we generally place a premium in the pricing. But so definitely take a look at that, try it on your own, and use it contextually to try to do anything custom that could be very helpful for you and your team to work with. Make sure you check out all the links in the slides, plenty of resources there. And then finally, again, if you want to come hang out with me in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, come to Reframe 2024, and I give it back to CPA Academy.